My name's Michael James. I'm the last model maker and director of Springline. Been here 38 years. Started on a YTS scheme. The youth training scheme said I had to join another one, or I couldn't go on this 9-man yacht to France, which was part of the course. So I sort of literally just went down the list, and it said using your hands, craft, etc. And I just Springline, yeah, okay, let's have a go at that. So I joined. I didn't know what a last was. I didn't know that you made a shoe on a last. I just literally just joined in the factory as a factory hand.
And how old were you?
16, yeah.
So is this the only job you've ever had?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Put a paper around. Springline are the last manufacturers in the UK. We produce bulk production lasts, bulk shoe trees. We do a modelling development service, bespoke service, and many other little bits and bobs. A model service is if a brand in the UK come to us to develop a new shape, we'll just do the development only. Men's, ladies, children's, yeah, we do it all. Yeah. So they come in, they either have pointer shoes, so they go out shoe shopping and pick up what they feel they want their new style to look like, or they'll have drawings, sole units, wedges, heels. Yeah, or it can just be an idea really, and sometimes, they're more than welcome. They can come and stand with us while we work on the model as well. Get the look right, the toe shape right, the heel height, toe spring, etc. And obviously the fitting right. From that we'll do either data or a pair of lasts, which they then send off to wherever they're getting their shoes made, so China, Vietnam, India, anywhere in the world. So in the model room there are 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment. Yeah, we had one guy retire just before COVID kicked in, so at some point we'll be looking to take another one on hopefully. We work on a jack and a strap, so it's basically the strap is to hold the last tight on the jack. Other makers they use vices, which they clamp the last in, but we tend to do it like that. We still very traditional. We tape measures, templates, rasp files, sandpaper until we get all the measurements and the look of it right. So we've got one guy who tends to specialise more on the bespoke shoe trees. He pretty much all his time's filled up just making bespoke shoe trees, which are again you have to start from the lasts and the shoes, and we make an exact fit to the shoes. Yeah. Okay, so if you had no more work in front of you, you'd probably need two days, 2.5 days, something like that to work through it. Obviously it goes through different processes. We do the first modelling part upstairs, and then it goes downstairs for turning and whichever hinge goes into the last as well. So we have three main hinges for bespoke lasts. We have a scoop block, we have a PP, and we have a V hinge. Probably the most popular is the scoop block. This is where the cone of the last, it unscrews and the cone of the last comes completely off. Probably one of the reasons why this one is used the most is because once the cone's on and screwed on, it's like a solid piece of wood, so it helps them tap the uppers down and get them tighter. PP again is very popular for bespoke makers. It's literally cut in half with a step in and screwed together. So when the screw comes out, the whole back comes off. It's a lot easier to get the whole thing out because that just lifts out and the 4-part slides in. What's not in this PP yet is 2 drill holes, so then you can hook them out as you do with a cone. The V hinge again is probably the most popular for manufactured lasts, but also used in bespoke lasts. This is basically cut with so the V is put in with the 2 drill holes. The toggle is cut, and then the metalwork is put in. and basically the whole back part lifts up and clicks open. With this one, it does tend to get slightly longer as you open this back part. The overall length of the last gets slightly longer, sort of at almost halfway point of its opening. So you've got to be a little bit careful with your top lines of your shoes. But everyone to their own, really. Every bespoke maker likes one or the other. Yeah, we do a bespoke service. Either individuals or some of the companies come in and we make bespoke lasts. So normally with bespoke, you either do the foot draft yourself, so you see the customer yourself, you do the foot draft and measuring yourself, or they get sent in to us that have been done by other professionals. From the foot draft, we obviously we need a shape to base the bespoke on. So we always start with that. We usually turn half a wood solid to work on, to do usually the bigger foot, and then we'll work on that till we get the fittings right, the aesthetics right, the look of it right, and then from that we'll turn the pair of lasts, and then we alter them again to get down to the customer's measurements. We always tend to measure in a standing position, although some bespoke makers, they do a sitting position. With a standing position, you tend to take the last measures slightly under the foot measure, just because when you're standing, the measurements at its widest point, really. So other bespoke makers, they'll do it sitting, and I think they tend to do it more exact to the foot measure. You're almost doing a similar thing to you do model making. So we'll do a model, we'll then turn the pair from the model and then alter them again. It's not how all bespoke workers, a lot of bespoke makers work. They have what we call rough turns. For instance, George cleverly, they have a rough turned model that we turn sizes for them, and then they use that as their base to then create the bespoke lasts to their customers' feet. And so they've got a starting point, really. A lot of bespoke makers are very hands-on and understand lasts pretty well anyway. So some are very good at it, and it's their strongest point. Others are stronger at closing or sole stitching, etc. Pretty much most bespoke makers have a good hand of what's going on. So the initial pair are done. Obviously, you do a first fit, and the customer then makes comments of how they feel and how they look. From that, if you're lucky, it's not too much of an alteration. If say it's slightly tight around the little toe area, you can add leather or cork on, and refine it back into the last, so it still gives you a nice line. If it's reduction, obviously it's taking it off the wood anyway. Yeah, when we do a bespoke job, within that price, we expect an alteration, really. So yeah, no, if you feel you'd rather do that, send them back with some details of where the fit or look problem is, and we'll correct it. So with boot lasts, obviously they're built higher. The back kicks out as it comes up the last, and there's more material on the cone. The reason most bespoke makers don't use a boot last is because you can't make a shoe on a boot last, but you can make a boot on a shoe last. If you have a boot last, you can't revert, because all the proportions of the shoe would be wrong, the fit of the shoe would be wrong. So most bespoke makers would perhaps tack a bit of leather around the top of the heel, and put some leather over the cone just to make the boots, which seems to work. It's just helping you get the pattern out and blocking, etc. But certainly, if you start off with a boot last and then you want shoes from it, we can obviously make a shoe last from the boot last. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good service. So most customers, when they bought a nice pair of shoes, bespoke shoes, they're going to want trees to go in them. What we need back is a pair of lasts, a pair of shoes, and then we can make the bespoke trees. So the lasts will come in. We use the last as a base, get half a pair turned again, We fit it into the Bespoke shoes, so that then becomes our model, which we turn the pair from to the right measures. We do many different styles. This is just one where we hollow it out, which is considered a very top end one. Customers tend to like it hollowed out. Hinged is always considered top end. So the main woods we use for trees, we use beech, maple, sapele, lime. They're all hardwoods, yeah. And then we use a very light wood called obeche, which again some customers really like them because you can hardly feel them when they're travelling, etc. We steer away from cedar. We don't use cedar wood, just because the best cedar is red cedar, and that's Woodlaw have got the rights to the red cedar. Yellow cedar, you get issues, respiratory issues with it. The sap comes out of it, and we have done an order in the past, and the sap come out of it. And at that point, we decided not to use cedar anymore. Obviously, once you've worn your shoes, you put the trees inside on a Bespoke shoe tree. They set the shoe back to the original shape. It breathes the wood taste and moisture out of the shoe. They'll look better and last longer. I think you do get an idea of how each maker makes a shoe and pulls that on. You definitely get a difference between one maker to another of how much strength they put in to pull the leathers over, etc. And probably techniques as well, but maybe different materials, etc. can change a fit as well. Patterns can change a fit. Obviously you get feedback from each customer, and that definitely helps, to create the next one, really. You do need the feedback, 100%. You obviously see what's been took off or put on the last when they come back for the shoe trees. But it's not a definite. Each customer is so different. It's so different. So when I'm measuring up, that's one of the questions I ask. I ask what size they are, whether they like a tight fit, loose fit. Some customers like their shoes to fit tight. Some like them not to even feel their shoes on their feet. And it's, I say every shoe, every pattern, every style, it makes a difference.